Hi there. I just thought I would show you a little video. A few people have been asking me about the special stitches that we have in this pattern, so I thought it might be easier to just do a quick video. The part that we're looking at is here. It's the play button on the blanket, and the reason that I've got special stitches is because if you're trying to make something diagonal shaped in mosaic crochet, you need to have a big space to do it in. Otherwise, if it's a small piece like this, you kind of need to use diagonal stitches to get the effect of the diagonal line that's in there. So let's have a look at the pattern. So on the pattern, you can see that I have used these arrows to show you where you're going to do those diagonal lines. Now the stitches themselves, although they're called special stitches, they're actually not. It's still exactly the same stitch that you would do. The only difference is where you put your hook when you're going to make the stitch. The actual stitch is still exactly the same. In this case, it's always going to be a forward stitch, which is what I would call a treble crochet, or a double crochet for US. So it's the same thing, it's just where you're going to put the hook that's slightly different. With all my charts, I have given obviously also the written instructions. So I've just put down here the parts that are for the special stitches. And I have made just a little sample that I'm going to show you that's just doing this part here, not the whole thing. So let's just go ahead and get started with what the stitch would be. So I've started from the first couple of bits already, so that we're here on this row. We are going to do the first diagonal stitch here. The written instructions for this part are here. We've got 5 back, then we've got this 1 F2L, which is 1 forward, 2 to the left. And you can see that if you look at the red marking, you can see that I'm starting from here, but actually I'm going to come down 2 to the left, and that's where my hook is going to be inserted to be able to get that stitch. So let's just have a look and I will show you what we're going to do. Okay, so I have started the beginning of the row, which is the 5B. The next part is our 1 forward, 2 to the left. So when we look at where we are, you can see that this is the stitch that I am supposed to be doing, this next one here. But we're not actually going to go into that stitch because we have to go down 2 to the left, which is down here. Now it doesn't make sense because, as you know, when you're doing mosaic crochet, you're looking to go down below and there aren't any stitches here. That is the first stitch that is available for you to go down, so it does make sense. But what you need to remember really is that it's this stitch that you are kind of working on, so we're not going to end up going into that one again later. So we wrap our yarn round and do our forward as normal. So we've done that one to the side. Now this is where you've got to be careful, because when you go to the back, you can see that this stitch here is the one that we effectively were doing. If I hold it up like that, I don't know if you can see that better. So it would have been this stitch, but we're kind of in front of it. So our next stitch is this one that's next to it. So we're kind of skipping that one just now and going into this one to do our back that we have got to do. So we've got back 1. So go into that one there and do our back. And then our next stitches are 2 forward, and that's into here as normal. And what you'll notice then is that you're going into the same one as your diagonal one was. And then the next one next to it. And then you have 10 back to do. I've only got the 1 because I've just got this small piece. But then when you look at it, you should have your diagonal stitch. There is a little gap here at the back. That's where that stitch was covering. You have then a small one in the back in this little gap, and then 2 coming forward. Ready to do the next row. Okay, so on to the next row. I've already completed the 5 forward. The next is telling us to do 4 back, and that is one in each of the stitches that we've just done. We've got our diagonal one, we've got our one at the back and our 2 forward. So that's the 4 that we're going into. So that's just as normal. Just make sure that you are going into those 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just as normal. It's just that it can be quite easy because of the way that we've done those stitches to just have the 3, but we need to remember that one that's there as well. So 4 diagonal, and then we're back to our 10 forward, or 1 for me. And the next row is just exactly the same as that last row. It's the same special stitch that we're coming down 1 to the left. So I've already done my 3 back. So I'm now going to go 2 to the left. So it's this stitch that I'm really working on, but I'm going over here to put my hook in. My next one is my back stitch. So again, I'm making sure I'm not going into the wrong stitch, not that first one, it's the next one. Put my back stitch in there. And then I have got 4 forward stitches to do. Now my first one again is going to be in the same one that I've just done. 1, and then the rest as normal. That was into my original back stitch in the first one. 3, 4. So again, you can see that you've got your diagonal one. There's the little kind of hole almost in the back there, and then my 4 that go forward. And you can see now that on this original one, you can't really see a space anymore. It's been filled in because I've used these other stitches on top of it. So again, on this next row, we're going to go behind these ones. So I've already completed the 3 forward. We now have to do 6 back. And again, it's exactly the same. We just need to make sure we don't forget that little one there. So we're going into our diagonal one, into the missed one, that's 2, and then into the 4 straight ones. 3, 4, 5, 6. And we've got that part done. Then we're back to our forwards. Okay, so I have jumped up 2 rows because there were no special stitches in the next 2 rows. And I'm now on to this row here, where we're now going to be having diagonal the other way. And it's slightly different because we are now going to have to do 2 together. So the instruction for that is 2F together. Now that would be trebling 2 together or doubling 2 together for US. If you are used to following crochet patterns for making garments, then you will already know how to do that. So it's the same thing. The only thing is normally when we would do 2 together, we would do the 2 stitches right next to each other. But again, we have got one that's skipped here in this pattern, so we need to make sure that we do that and follow where the arrows are pointing to. So I've already completed the 3 back that we're going to do. We're now going to forward 2 together. Now the first arrow shows us that it's coming into this box here. Now we are going to put our hook into that first stitch, and I pull it through, yarn over, but pull through only the first 2 stitches, keep the other 2 stitches on the hook. Now the next stitch, we're going to miss this one and we're going into the next one. So yarn over, miss that stitch, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops only, yarn over, pull through all 3 of the loops. And that gives us only 1 stitch on the hook, but we've used 2 stitches to get to there. Now the next instruction is 3 forward. Now if you look, you can see that it is these 3 here, so we're going on to the next one. So it's here 1, 2 and 3. So these are the stitches that we're going to go into. 1, 2, 3. Now, what you will notice there is that what we're now left with is 4 stitch tops. Look out the way a second so you can see that. 4 stitch tops, 1, 2, 3, 4. But we'd actually used, we'd gone across what was 6 stitches. We had 1, we missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's important to remember there because we need our stitch count to stay the same. And at the moment, we've shortened that and we need to know about that when we come on to the next row. So I'm going to do my backs and get on to the next row. Okay, now this row is probably going to be the trickiest row if you want to look at it like that. It's not really tricky, but it's a bit fiddly with what you've got to do. So it asks us to do 5 forward. Now I've done 3 forward already, 1, 2, 3. And then when you're looking, you think, right, you know, where do I do these other 2 stitches that I've got to do? And that's where we've got to kind of go behind here. So it's into the back, what would be on top of that first stitch there. So that one we can do more easily. We go into there, that's 1. And then the other one, we just again have to maybe move this slightly out of the way till you can find what stitch was there that we missed over and go in behind that. So the stitches again exactly the same. You've just got to try and kind of go behind the stitches a little bit to find where the loops are. They're kind of hiding behind a little bit. So we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 forward now, and then we have now to do 4 back. So remember, these 2 were done together, but it made 1 stitch. So that's 1 stitch that we go into. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so again, this is the last lot of special stitches and it's the same as the previous row. We're going to do 2 together, but we miss 1 out in the middle. So I've already completed my 5 back. My first stitch is to go into the first one here, which is the one that we actually did the last time. So we're going into that one. Yarn over the first 2 loops only. We're going to miss this next one and into the next. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops only. Yarn over, pull through all 3. And then we have 1 more forward to do, which is in this last one here. And then you're back. So again, you can see that we have got 2 that are coming together to make 1 stitch here. And we have 1 missed out in between, so there were 4 stitches there. Now we've reduced that to 2 stitches. So last row, same as that last idea, we have got 7 forwards to do. I've done the first 5, which are the straightforward ones. These next 2 we have to kind of go slightly behind to find them. So the first one is just directly behind that diagonal stitch. And as I said, this is the part that just could be slightly tricky just because you've got to fiddle about to find it. And the last one, again, we just pull that back to find the loop that we're looking for. Oops. Doesn't want to come. Like that. And then we have just got 2 to do back, which is this loop that we just made from the 2 stitches and then the 1 by itself. 1, 2, and then on to our forwards. And that would be that part done. which should give us our diagonal shape for our play button. Now, hopefully that's helped you. Let me know if you have any questions or anything. I know the visual quality is maybe not the best. It's the first video I've made, and I think there's a lot of shadows and things like that, but hopefully it has allowed you to be able to follow the pattern to finish the test. Thanks very much.